March 23rd, 2021, day 82, Judges 13 through 15. I forgot my glasses. Now, remove this. Judges 13. There was, okay, your misogyny for the day starts out very early. Chapter 13, verse 2. It says, there was a certain man from Zorah, the clan of the Danites, whose name was Manoah. His wife was barren and bore no children. Okay, first thing, again, if a woman's not conceiving, obviously it's her fault, not the sterility of her husband. And, second misogyny, this is a twofer. She's given no name. She's the one that has to give her life to carry and birth this child, and she's given no name. But her husband's given a name. He does nothing. He's nothing. Nothing. Okay. Especially in a time where women were chattel. They still kind of are. The woman should be given a name. Husband should be given no name. If anything. Okay. Well, husband should be given no name anyways. He ain't doing anything. Okay. Now, it says here about the angel coming, blah, 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 and say, you know, one of the weird things is it's like the angel, they believe this person, okay, this person just shows up and says to the woman who's given no name, we'll call her Janae. So the angel comes to Janae and says, she doesn't know it's an angel, just a person. You know, this is just a person comes to Janae and says, you're going to have a child. I know you're barren, but you will conceive and bear a son. Not just a child, a son. This is just some random person. And Janae, instead of just saying, this is just a random person, a nutcase, she goes to her husband and says, a man came to me and had the appearance of an angel of God. What is the appearance of an angel of God? What is that? Like what, they have wings? What is it? And then, I guess, what was it, the next day? Her husband, who will be given no name by me, said, praise to the Lord, have him come again, I guess. Have him return to us. And so then, soon after, I guess, the angel came again, and the woman ran to her husband. Janae ran to her husband, who has no name, and says, there he is, he's here, he's here. So her husband, who has no name, came out with Janae and says, you know, tell me what you said. And, you know, the angel said, yep, I did say. But again, they don't know this as an angel. They just know this as a man. They says, yep, she's going to have a son. And then they're just believing this wackadoo that shows up. And so the husband, who has no name, asked them, you know, can you give me your name? We'll make a holocaust, you know, we'll make a sacrifice to you, whatever that means. And the angel says, why do you ask my name, which is mysterious? You just answered your own question because it's mysterious. And so it's like, what? I mean, what do you say to this stupid story? It's like, how do we even know you're an angel? I mean, you won't give us your name. You're just some wackadoo that shows up 2 days in a row. What? So, why even show up if you're not going to give them your name or tell them who you are? So anyways, the husband who has no name sacrifices, what does he sacrifice? I don't know if they said what he sacrificed. He took a kid, so maybe a goat or a sheep. I don't know what they considered a kid back then. I'm pretty sure they considered a kid a goat, but I think they had other, baby animals that they called kids. And this is really weird. When it says, as the flame, they're talking about the flame from the sacrifice. As the flame rose to the sky from the altar, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. That is just mythicism. And we're not done yet with the mythicism. That's the start of it. So Samson said he went down to Timnah and saw the Philistine woman, and he wanted this woman so he could make her a sex slave. In other words, his wife. And racism, total racism, chapter 14, verse 3. Can you not find no wife among your kinfolk, among all our people, that you must take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? Total racism. But then Samson insisted, so apparently. So him and his parents went down to, see if they could, I guess, offer a rape price to her father. And then, so here's the mythicism coming in. When they had come to the vineyards of Timnah, a young lion came roaring to meet Samson. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson, although he had no weapon. He tore the lions into pieces as one tears a kid. What does that even mean? How he tore a lion in pieces as one tears a kid? Like a baby goat. Let's just say a baby goat. What? What does that even mean? But he didn't mention it to his mother and father. Where was his mother and father that this happened? And they didn't see any of it. Then, get this, later when he returned to the woman who pleased him, he stepped aside to look at the remains of the lion and found a swarm of bees and honey in the lion's carcass. That means the bees had to congregate, find that an acceptable place to make a hive. Because, you got what do they call them? The scouts that go out and find the place, a good new place to make a hive. And then they swarm and they go to that place and then they start making a hive. But it takes a long time to make a hive. It's not like they do it and then the honey. They have to make the honey and it takes time to make the honey. So, okay. So it's like, how long was this? What? How long was this? That there had to have been a lot of time passing. And by that time, the lion would have rotted out. And there would have been no place for them to make a hive. And they don't hive on the ground. It would have been on the ground. Bees don't do that. They don't make hives in the ground. You have bees that burrow into the ground, but not on the ground. So anyway, so he scooped the honey out with his palms and ate it as he went along. That's not how honey works, okay? Ask any beekeeper. And he gave some to his mother and father. What about his wife to be? Let's see. And then I guess they had the banquet. I guess this was after the wedding, or maybe before the wedding. I don't know. They met. When they met him, they brought 30 men to be his companions. That's supposed to be the groomsmen. So this was before the wedding. And Samson said, "Let me propose a riddle to you." He gives them a riddle, and they answer like they have to accept. They don't have to accept this. then they get mad because they can't figure it out. It's like, you didn't have to accept that riddle. That's not the law of the land. The thing is that Samson promised him, what was it, 30 garments, 30 linen tunics, and 30 sets of garments. You know, that meant a lot back then because everything had to be made. I mean, thread had to be made from scratch by hand. You know, the cloth had to be made by scratch from hand. It had to be dyed by hand. I mean, there was no mass machinery back then. So clothing was very, very, you know, any type of material was very, very, you know, quote unquote expensive. It was worth a lot. So, anyways, they were saying, well, you know, they went to the woman who's the Janae. We'll say, well, no, this isn't Janae. This is somebody else. We'll say her name is, I don't think they gave her a name. We'll give her the name of Letitia. Okay, so they went to Letitia and we said, your husband gave us this riddle. We can't solve it. You know, he's going to make us poor because he had 30, you know, 60 garments altogether. So they said, like, try to get him to tell you the answer to the riddle. So she did, and Samson did. And Letitia comes back and she gives the Philistines the answer, these companions, these groomsmen. And it doesn't say the answer. I read this like 5 times. It's like in the King James Version and the New American Bible. Yeah. And they didn't give the answer. I mean, the answer's not told here in the Bible. So anyways, Samson gets mad that they solved the riddle. And so he deserts his wife. And he knew how it happened. You know, his wife told him. So he deserts his wife. So the father of Letitia gives Letitia to another man. I mean, women are interchangeable apparently. Letitia to the best man that was at Samson's wedding, or was to be at Samson's wedding. Well then, months later, Samson shows up and says he wants to rape his wife. And Letitia's father says, well, you abandoned her, so I gave her to the best man to marry. So then Samson gets mad. Well, he abandoned her, right? Oh, and by the way, he says, you know, Letitia's sister, Cheryl is better looking than her. Why don't you take her to rape? Oh, geez. You know, I mean, the misogyny here is just great. And then Samson says, you can't blame me if I do harm to you. I mean, this is racism. It says right here, this time the Philistines cannot blame me if I harm them. Yeah, they can, because you're in control of your emotions. This is complete racism. He's going to blame all the Philistines for what one person did to him. So now here's more mythology. Samson left and caught 300 foxes. How? How do you catch 300 foxes? Turning them tail to tail, he tied between each pair of tails one of the torches he had in hand. What? That doesn't even make any sense. How? These were live foxes. I'm thinking, oh, he killed them. No, they're live. He then kindled the torches and set the foxes loose in the standing grain of the Philistine, thus burning both the shocks and standing grain. Okay, first thing, this reeks of revenge, and Samson deserves to die. Racism also, because he's putting everyone to starve to death because of what one person did to him. I think a bird just hit the window. And another thing, this is complete animal abuse. Fourth thing, this is impossible. How do you tie? I don't know. Whatever. They're live. I mean, if they were dead, I could see how you could tie the thing. But they're live. 300 of them. You tied 300 live the fox, the tails of the live foxes, you somehow tied, let's just say you use twine, this pole that you put, you lit on fire. So how many weeks did it take you to do this? I mean, this is just stupid. And so then the Philistines got mad, and they says, why are you doing this to us? And then he says, because the wife I abandoned Letitia, and so she married somebody else, so now I'm mad. I'm mad at myself, basically, and I'm taking it out on everybody else. I'm making it their fault because of my wrongdoings. So then it says the Philistines went and destroyed her and her family by fire. What? How horrible that is. How horrible. And then Samson said to them, if this is how you act, I will not stop until I have taken revenge on you. What was all this about? Why did they kill her? She had nothing to do with it. She's a woman. She has no say in what happens in her life. Who she marries, how many children she has, whether or not she has sex. She has no say. And obviously, because look at all that happened. So Letitia in her family was killed, burnt up. And I don't know if they burned them at the stake or burned them in their house. I don't know how that happened. But then, and why did they do that? And then why did Samson get mad about that? I mean, didn't he just burn their feet? I mean, whatever. And with repeated blows, he inflicted a great slaughter on them. What? How? And then he went to a cave to hide out so they wouldn't come and kill him. And then the Philistines went to Judah to get Samson. That part I don't understand because he's in a cave, whatever. And then they said they told them, we come to take Samson a prisoner for what he's done. Eye for eye crap. Okay, so the 1,000 men of Judah went down to the cave where Samson was. They said, don't you know that the Philistines are, they rule over us. You've done this to us. You're nonsense. You've done this to us. And he says, as they have done to me, so have I done to them. Dude, you started this. You abandoned your wife. And now Letitia's dead because of it. So they said to him, we have come to take you as prisoner to deliver you. And then get this. Okay, more mythology. Samson says, swear to me that you will not kill me. No, we won't kill you, but we'll bind you and deliver you over to them. So they bound him up with 2 new ropes and brought him up to the cliff. Okay, this is not what it says in the King James Version. In the King James Version, it says that Samson said, make sure that you don't tie me too tightly. So it was kind of loose, like the rope was kind of loose. Whatever they used to bind him was loose. And then when he reached Lehi, the Philistines came shouting. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and the ropes around his arm became as flax, and he was consumed by fire, and his bonds melted away from his hands. So the Lord is doing all the work, not Samson. Okay, I want you to note this. A lot of stuff is being giving Samson all the power, when actually God, it wasn't even his strength. Because in the King James Version, it says they didn't tie him tightly. Because he asked for them not tie him tightly. Because he had, it implies that he had this whole thing planned as to getting, out of the binding at some point because it was loose. But then it says the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. The ropes around his arms became weak. And that flax that is consumed by fire, the flax is pretty weak to begin with, and then it was, melted away, and then it said, and his bonds melted away from his hands. So it wasn't his strength that did that, it was God basically taking the chains or the ropes from around him. And near him was a fresh jawbone of an ass. He reached out, grasped it, and killed 1,000 men. What? How? This is total mythology. And then he says to the Lord, "You granted me great victory. Now I'm thirsty. I'm gonna die." You know, in other words, poor me, poor me. I'm gonna die of thirst. So then the Lord gave him a spring to drink from. And that's it. Samson judged Israel for 20 years in the days of Philistine. So I'm assuming judgment ruled over. And there you go. That was just complete mythology and misogyny. Here are some more. I've sold 2 or 3 groups of patterns on eBay. And here's dresses. These will probably be all in the same lot. Like I said, told you yesterday, I'm selling them in lots. Get rid of them quicker. Plus, it seems to me, these are old ones, old. They're all checked for completeness. I'm selling, like I said, unless the parts are inconsequential, like a pocket, or, you know, like a pocket on clothing, or maybe an applique. Maybe there's one I'm selling with stuffed animals. The bear, the only part that's missing is the cutout for the nose, the piece for the nose. But you can make a nose, or you can get a nose from another pattern. You know, a nose is easy to make. So unless it's like an inconsequential thing like that, I won't sell the pieces out, the patterns. I'll probably, in the end, I've got extra pieces that I've been putting to the side that I found in the boxes from the estate auction that I got. So I've been putting them aside, putting the patterns aside with them that are missing pieces, and I'll see if I can match any of them up. And then if not, I'll sell the whole bunch, the pieces and the incomplete patterns in a lot. And people can do with them what they want. Some people want to actually use the patterns, or figure they'll use the patterns one day. Some people just like to have them, you know, maybe they like to collect patterns. And they collect different types of patterns. These lots I'm selling are very inexpensive as compared to what they cost individually. Like I just sold, there were 4 or 5 patterns together. At least one of them was uncut. And they were all, like I said, they were all complete. These were all complete. No pieces missing whatsoever. One of them was completely uncut. It was a modern pattern for a cover for a baby, car seat. And, you know, had a pattern for a rattle and a couple other things, baby related. And the pattern itself was over $15, but I sold the whole lot for $11.11 plus shipping. So, yeah, you're getting really good deals with these patterns. I look up each pattern individually, and typically I'll sell it for the price of one pattern, the highest price pattern in the lot. And then you're getting all the other stuff for free, basically. So, you know, it just depends on what I feel like, you know, when I look at the lot, how many are uncut, you know, do they all have the instructions, how interesting are the patterns, what is eBay, the sold items on eBay saying that they're selling for. I do it that way, but either way, you get a really, really good deal on the patterns. And I take a lot of time, you know, checking them and, you know, taking pictures and stuff. So I'm not making much money off of this, but I like doing it. You know, I like getting stuff in the hands of people who want them.